NASA's in the process of designing its next-generation spacecraft, Orion, which will be able to take astronauts to far-off destinations like an asteroid and eventually one day Mars. Orion itself is gearing up for its first flight into space, Exploration Flight Test-1. That test going to be taking place in the fall of this year, 2014. But this week, we're also doing a lot of prep work and one important test to get ready for that. Here to tell us a little bit more is Mike Sarafin, one of NASA's flight directors and someone who's involved pretty heavily in the test this week. And that test is underway recovery test. I don't know if it has a number. Is it 1, or are we just going to call it underway recovery test?
It is just the underway recovery test. So we are performing a test is a joint partnership with the United States Navy, Lockheed Martin, and NASA. This week, the crew of the USS San Diego, a Navy vessel out of the port of San Diego, have sailed out into the Pacific off the coast of California, and they are going to demonstrate the ability to recover Orion this week. And me and my team are going to be here in Mission Control, and we're going to demonstrate the handover process of the Orion capsule. Here in Mission Control, we're responsible for the Orion spacecraft from liftoff to splashdown and final power down. And we're going to hand over the spacecraft to the recovery team. Orion, like Apollo, is designed to land on water and not on land. So we need a ship to go out there and recover it. And through this joint agreement, we're going to go demonstrate that this week and make sure that we're ready to go for the Exploration Flight Test-1 this fall.
And so what are some of the things that the recovery teams are going to be testing, responsible for out there tomorrow?
Yeah, so we are using a new design of ship that did not exist in the Apollo era. It's called a well-deck ship. The Orion capsule being larger than the Apollo capsule, there was some concern about using a crane over the side of the ship to basically raise it over off the water onto the deck of the ship. So folks went off and assessed various options, and we looked at a well-deck ship, and that was the plan that we're going to try out here on EFT-1. Well deck is basically an area within the belly of the ship that they can flood, and they'll open a stern gate, which is much like the tailgate on a pickup truck, and tow the Orion capsule into the well deck, and then close the stern gate, and then drain the well deck, and lowering the Orion capsule onto a recovery cradle. So they're going to demonstrate that capability. They're also going to demonstrate the ability to spot and recover things that have been jettisoned off of the Orion capsule during the final descent and landing phase, like the forward bag cover and parachutes, and go retrieve some of those as engineering test articles. So it's a large integrated operation, and we haven't done this for quite a while. We certainly haven't done it with this class of ship or with a capsule this large. So we're going to check it out and demonstrate it and make sure we're ready to go.
And Mike, you'll be the flight director in the room right down the hall from here, leading the team. What are you guys going to be doing in there?
Right, so my team, it's a small team of roughly 24 folks that are going to be here in Mission Control on flight day, responsible for Orion from liftoff to splashdown. Are going to be monitoring the health and status of Orion during the mission. And if we see anything off nominal that the spacecraft is not designed to handle on its own, we're going to do what we say, send commands to the spacecraft, or issue computerized instructions to it to safe things like a propellant leak or issues that could potentially occur, and make sure that the spacecraft is safe to handle by the recovery team. Those folks on board the Navy vessel are going to put themselves in harm's way, and I want to make sure that me and my team tell them everything that we know about it so that they're safe and can take precautionary measures if necessary.
And so to switch gears a little bit, we haven't really had to train to handle a new vehicle. Well, aside from the cargo vehicles recently, but not really a new crew vehicle in a long time. What's the training been like to get ready for Orion, to get the flight control team ready to handle this new craft?
Yeah, I'll admit that I was a little bit spoiled as a space shuttle flight controller and then a shuttle flight director, and then coming over here doing International Space Station operations. I always had a baseline to work off of. and it was largely a sustaining operation where you could use the previous mission or the previous flight and use that to delta your work off of, so you never started from scratch. But with a brand new program like we're flying here on Orion, you are starting from scratch. So all of the capabilities that we're using in mission control, all the products, all of the tools, all the software, all the communication capabilities, we're having to develop and test and check out from scratch. We're obviously leveraging a lot of the capabilities that we had during the space shuttle era and have during the currently here in Mission Control as part of the space station program to minimize costs and overhead associated with that. But because Orion talks differently via its telemetry stream, and because it has different capabilities on board, we've got to develop a lot of new things from scratch, and we're in the process of testing and checking all that out right now. And again, that's to make sure that we're ready to go and fly this fall.
Team getting excited for this fall?
Yeah, the team's excited. I came on board the Orion program about 2 years ago, and when I was introduced to the team, I was really excited because all of the folks that I'm working with, I've worked with in the past during my space shuttle career. So they are a veteran team that we are using to fly the Orion spacecraft here out of Mission Control. Very capable, very dedicated, and also a very small team, as I said before. And just the sheer volume of work, we're having to work really hard, really fast. A development program always has unexpected events or surprises that come up. Software doesn't always work as designed, and we're having to tweak things here on the ground, as well as based on some flight software updates that we're getting through our avionics and software counterparts, and things that we learn in testing. We always learn about design features that we have to modify our planned operation or tools around, and the team's doing a really good job adapting to that and working really hard.
Well, I'm sure they'll be ready. Okay, well, again, the underway recovery test taking place tomorrow on Thursday, February 20th, an important recovery of Orion from the water joint with the U.S. Navy. All of that in preparation for the upcoming Exploration Flight Test-1 later this year. Mike, thanks for joining me. Really looking forward to that flight.
Yeah, thanks for joining us from Mission Control.